Hello everybody, this is Riti Parashar. In this and the further videos, we are going to talk about the topic dynamics. This is a very vast concept, so I have divided this topic into a number of videos. For example, in this one, we are going to talk about the introduction to dynamics, forces, contact and non-contact forces, classification of forces based on their nature, and in the further videos we'll be talking about the Newton's law of motion, weight and mass, momentum, friction, and so on. So don't miss the further videos. Let us start with today's topic. Basically, we have studied that physics has two parts, kinematics and dynamics. In kinematics, we have studied the motion of an object along the straight line without discussing the cause of its motion. In dynamics, we study the cause of the motion of the bodies, why they move fast or slow or even remain at rest. If a push or pull is given to the body which is at rest or to a body which is moving with uniform velocity, then the body moving will decrease or increase its speed. Such a push or a pull acting on the body is known as force. Let us look at some examples to understand what a force can do. For example, we talk about a rubber band. If we stretch the rubber band, there is change in shape and size of the rubber band, and when we release it, it comes to the normal shape, that is the round shape. Similarly, when we talk about the molding clay, in molding clay, when we try to form shapes with it, try to form objects with it, we see that we form the clay into different shapes. So basically it gets deformed a number of times. So again, it stretches, we push it, and thus we change its shape or size according to our will. So we can say that force changes shape and size of objects. The third example we're going to talk about is a ball. For example, two teams are playing football, and the goalkeeper of one team wishes to pass the ball to one of his team members. In order to do that, he has two options: either to throw the ball with his hand or kick the ball. What is similar in both of these options? It is that he has to apply some force. If he just stands there with a ball in his hand and does not do anything, does not apply any kind of force, the ball won't reach the other player on its own. He has to apply some force for the ball to reach the other player. Hence, he'll have to push the ball by hand or kick it by the foot. So we can say that force can change the motion of an object. Basically, it is not only getting stationary objects to motion, it can also be the stationary objects to motion, the objects with uniform velocity to change their speed, like to come in increase their speed or decrease their speed, or even the objects in motion to come at rest. We can classify forces into two broad types. We can classify them into contact forces and non-contact forces. Forces that have to be applied when the bodies are in physical contact, those forces are known as contact forces. For example, mechanical force and friction. If the objects are too far away from each other, frictional force won't be applied on any of them. Similarly, we have the non-contact forces. Non-contact forces, the objects don't need to be in contact. For example, the magnetic force. In magnetic force, the magnet and the magnetic material, that can be an iron nail, can be at a quite good distance from each other. Still, the magnet will attract the iron nail as long as it is in the magnetic field. So it does not have to be in direct contact with the magnet. The iron nail will be attracted from a quite good distance. So we classify magnetic force as a non-contact force. Based on their nature, forces can be classified into mechanical forces, magnetic force, gravitational force, electric force, and nuclear force. Mechanical force. To hit a nail into a wall, we use a hammer. The force exerted by the hammer on the nail drives it into the wall. Thus, in this case, the force makes a physical contact and displaces the nail. Such a force is called the contact force, or in this case, it can also be called the mechanical force. Let us talk about the magnetic force. Place a small iron nail near a magnet. The iron nail moves towards the magnet. This force applied by the magnet is called the magnetic force. Magnetic force is a non-contact force, since the iron piece experiences a force though there is no physical contact. Now let us talk about the gravitational force. If you throw a ball vertically upwards, it has to return to the ground after some time. This is on account of the attractive force the earth exerts on the ball. Similarly, the earth also exerts an attractive force on the celestial bodies such as the moon, sun, planets, etc. This force of attraction between any two masses is known as gravitational force. Now let us talk about the electric force. When a glass rod is rubbed with wool, the glass rod acquires electric charge. Now when the glass rod is brought near some pieces of paper, they cling to the glass rod. This is due to the electric force of the glass rod. A simpler example of electric force can be, we can replace a glass rod with a comb. So when you rub comb on dry hair, the comb acquires a charge that is opposite to the paper, the pieces of paper. So if you bring the comb near to the pieces of paper, you see that the pieces of paper get attracted to the comb. Basically, the electric force also follows a similar rule to that in the magnetic force. The unlike poles attract in magnets, similarly the unlike charges attract in electric force, and the like charges repel. Now let's talk about the last type of force, that is the nuclear force. A nuclear force is a force that exists only if the interacting particles are protons or neutrons, or both protons and neutrons. It won't happen in the case of electrons, so it is different from gravitational and electromagnetic forces. So basically in this video we talked about a brief introduction to dynamics, the forces, classifying forces in non-contact, contact forces, and based on their nature, that is the mechanical force, magnetic force, gravitational force, electric force, and nuclear force. In the next video, we'll be discussing about the Newton's first law of motion, inertia, and the types of inertia. I hope you liked the video. Thank you and have a nice day.